Hi, this is Chris from needlepointers.com, and today I'd like to show you how to make this propeller block using your Accuquilt Go or other Accuquilt cutter. And I'm using a 10-inch cube, but this block can be made with any of the cubes. I found this block in the 72 block patterns download that you can get from Accuquilt after you've purchased a Go cube. Each block that's in the download will have pages like this, which will tell you how to make the block, what dies you need, which for this one we need number 4 and number 2, what colors are your fabrics you're cutting, and how many shapes you need to cut, and the fabric required for just one block. So the pattern I'm going to be using for this quilt is this Go Propeller 10-inch block pattern. I am going to make one change to mine because I want one larger section in the middle so that I can put some fussy cut bees into the middle of my block. Instead of cutting these two with the 3-inch Go square, I will fussy cut with my ruler and mat a 5.5-inch block that I will use in the middle instead of this 4-patch. So this is the number 2 die. And you can see that each die inside the cube has numbers on it, like this one right here has number 2. It also tells you what size it is, and that size matches up with the instructions. We also use the number 4 die. It has a number 4 there, and this is a 1/4 square triangle die. And as you can see, it will cut 4 at once, which is very nice. So there are less passes needed through the cutter to get all the pieces for this block. For my quilt, I'm going to need 4 completed blocks. So as you can see from the picture, I'll need one piece for the middle, and then I need 2 different colors. For the 2 colors, I am going to use these 2 fabrics, this green with the bees and this yellow. The yellow fabric is going to be where the blue is in this diagram, and the green fabric is going to be where the pink is in this diagram. So from this instructions, you can see that for the yellow, I will need 4 1/4 square triangles, and for the green, I will need 8 1/4 square triangles. Now, when I do that for my whole quilt, since I need 4 blocks, I am going to need 16 of the yellow 1/4 square triangles and 36 of the green print 1/4 square triangles. Because I can cut 4 with one pass through, it will mean that for the yellow print, for each block, I only need to have 1 layer pass through, which means I only need to fold my fabric over so I have 4 layers, and 1 pass through the cutter will get me all of the yellow 1/4 square triangles that I need for all 4 blocks. For the green print, I need 36 1/4 square triangles. So that is 9 layers of the green print going through. Since we can only cut up to 6 layers at once, I will need to do at least 2 passes through the Accuquilt cutter to get all of the 1/4 square triangles I need for my 4 blocks. To figure out how wide to cut the fabric strips, I usually measure the width of the lighter gray foam on the die that I'm cutting with, and this one is about 6 1/4 inches wide from here to here, and that's where the cutting blades are. So I will cut my strips at 6 3/4 inch wide so that I have a little bit extra to overhang on both sides to make sure that I don't miss the die. And the nice thing about this die is that it cuts off the dog ears on the corners of your triangles. So when you assemble the blocks, you won't have to trim all those dog ears. And also, these edges help you line up the blocks when you sew them together. If you're going to make the 4-patch in the center here, then you would just calculate how many of the squares you need for the blocks that you have, and you would use your number 2 die to put the fabric through in the similar way that I'm going to be doing this other die. Okay, so now I have my 3 strips cut. I only need 1 strip for my yellow, and I needed 2 strips to get all the pieces for the green fabrics. So I have 2 layers of fabric since I cut it with the fabric, and I want to make sure I don't get the selvage into the cutting area. And I lay across the fabric across, and then you can fan fold it back and forth to get the multiple layers, to get your up to 6 layers. So if I fan fold it like that, that's 4 layers. So that's how much I want to cut, the 4 layers. I put the mat on top, and remember, when you're cutting with these mats, you can actually turn them, move them around, because you don't want your line or your cutting to be all in the same place. You can use the front, you can use the back, so make sure you're moving it around. So now I want to lead with the mat itself and not with my fabric, my extra fabric. And I will push it through, start it in there, and the Go Big takes over. Slide the mat off to the side, and I should have my 16 quarter square triangles that I need of the yellow color. So there's 4, 8, 12, and 16, all cut like that very quickly. And as you can see, there is very small amounts of waste. I was afraid of how much waste I would have with the Accuquilt cutter, but I've been pretty happy with it. I could have cut this maybe even a little bit thinner, but I like having at least a little bit extra around the edge. So let's cut the green fabrics. So for this one, I'm going to fold it back and forth so I have 6 layers. So I'll be able to get 24 of the triangles just with this one pass. And there we go. So for these blocks, I needed 9 layers cut. So I did the first one was 6 layers of fabric, which cut 4 each. And then there's actually, I'm going to get some extra quarter square triangles here for, because I'm just going to pass it through with 4 layers. And so that's going to be all of the triangles that I need for this block, and some extras. So since I'm going to fussy cut the block, I have my 6-inch ruler, square ruler here, and I need a 5.5-inch block that I can sew into the middle. So what I did here, so to help me visualize what area of the fabric I'm going to be getting when I cut it, I put some tape so that this part is the 5-inch by 5-inch. And when you're fussy cutting, you want to line this up. And I have to remember that I do have a 1/4-inch seam all the way around the outside, so I don't want to put any of the images that I want too close to the edge, because they'll get sewn in. So I want to have in the center of one of my blocks, this happy bee with the crown on its head. And I'm going to include this little bee in there too, and some of the flowers. So I'm lining that up and leaving a 1/2-inch seam or 1/2 inch there away from this little bee. I have over a 1/2 inch from the top of the crown on this one, and I have a 1/2 inch from the bottom of this flower. Then I can cut this out, and I have just 1 layer of my fabric here because I just want to cut one. I'm going to cut across. So I just turned my ruler around and I lined this edge and this edge along the 2 edges I just cut. So then that should give me, so I'll cut these other 2 sides. There you can see, there's my first fussy cut block. So I'm going to basically do the same process on a few different areas on this fabric, because this is my extra fabric, so I can use these, I can cut out like some of these bees, like this little group of bees is going to be cute. Now if you are planning on doing the standard 4-patch in the center, please look for the link in the description of this video, and that will take you to our website where we will have a page for this quilt block, and on that page I'll have some cutting instructions, amounts and stuff like that, and it's a full photo tutorial of how to assemble this block, so it might be helpful. So here's the layout of what my block is going to look like at the end. So to sew this block together, the instructions say to sew these 4 triangles to the middle square first. Now if you're doing your 4-patch, you would assemble your 4-patch first. You can sew the 4-patch by sewing the 2 top blocks together, 2 bottom blocks together, and then sew them together. I'll first start with sewing these 4 on, and then basically all we're going to do is then sew these 2 together, sew each of the 2 together on the corners, and then sew the corners to the center. So that means there's no weird seams to be sewn, and it should be pretty easy to put together. Okay, I have my sewing machine loaded with a cream thread that I use for piecing. I'm using my number 1 stitch at the normal length, and I have my number 57 foot, which is a 1/4 inch foot with a guide. The other foot that you can use for piecing on a Bernina is a 37 foot, and that's a 1/4 inch foot without a guide. So because the little dog ears are cut off here, I can then just line this up and then sew on using my 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew on the side. I'll do the opposite side next. So there's the 2 side pieces. So there, I've pressed the seams out towards the triangles. Now I will put the last 2 on. And the last one. So I got all those put on, and I will also press seam allowances towards the triangles. Okay, so you can see the center is complete, and the seams are all pressed towards the 1/4 square triangles. Here are my other 4 sets of 1/4 square triangles. I put them together and then I laid them here so I know that I'm sewing this seam on all 4. So I'll cut these apart and I'll iron the seams and be right back. Alright, so again I've laid this out and made sure I have all the corner blocks in the right place. I pressed each one towards the yellow fabric. In the diagram it's the pink fabric. So for this one, the dog ears don't go the right direction, the cut off dog ears, but you can align the little point on the end of each of the corners. You can see it's pinned and it's in place. So there's the first corner unit sewn on. So after you get the first 2 sides on, the ones across from each other, then press them so that the seams are facing towards the triangle blocks, the corner units. Then when you are aligning the last 2 corner units, the cut out corners will align with the side, the pressed open corners on each side. So you can see this lines up with the corner unit that I pressed open. So that's helpful when you're assembling this block. And I just need to press these last 2 sides. And the propeller block is finished and ironed flat. For my quilt, I'll be making 3 more of these blocks and adding it to the panel to complete a quilt. Watch for an upcoming video on making this quilt. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this propeller block. Like and share our videos, and if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss future videos. Help us spread our videos by sharing them with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Visit our website, needlepointers.com, for lots of other quilting tutorials and free projects. While you're there, sign up for our free weekly newsletter so you won't miss new tutorials. Happy quilting!